In this episode, we're talking cybersecurity and specifically how browser-based attacks are causing so many issues for cybersecurity professionals. We're going to talk about browser-based attacks such as the last mile reassembly attack and the recent cyberhaven Chrome extension attack. How can they bypass Secure Service Edge as well as other security solutions such as endpoint security? Stay tuned, this is going to be an episode worth watching. Hi everyone, great to see you. Andy Malone, Microsoft MVP. Well, on today's episode, I've got something a little special for you. We're talking cybersecurity and specifically browser-based protection. Now, we're all aware of technologies like Secure Service Edge and even endpoint security that Microsoft, Google and Amazon provide, and they do a pretty good job at keeping us safe. But like most of these security technologies, their main focus is on the networking, which, as we've discovered, has left browsers potentially vulnerable as hackers are finding new and innovative ways to hack users. Now, you may have heard about the last mile reassembly attack or the more recently cyberhaven's Chrome extension attack just there at Christmas time, which caused untold damage across the world. Well, at last year's DEF CON 32, an organization called SquareX presented an awesome presentation, and after looking at the presentation, I wanted to know more. So I'm delighted to say that I've managed to pin down the chief architect of SquareX, Jeswin Mathai, who has agreed to come onto the show, and we're going to talk about exactly what this last mile reassembly attack is and how these potential threats work, how do they manifest themselves, and most importantly, what can we do to defend ourselves against them. Now, if you haven't subscribed to the episode, I would love for you to come on board and join us. So please bump the subscribe button up there. And if you've got questions and comments, I would love to have them. So please get those down below. And if you enjoy the video, give me a big thumbs up. It really does help the channel. So without any further ado, I'm thrilled to introduce Jeswin Mathai, Chief Architect over there in Singapore at SquareX. Hey Jeswin, great to meet you.
Likewise, Andy. I'm doing great.
Tell us all about your role at SquareX and what you do.
I'm the chief architect at SquareX. I'm responsible for managing the backend pipelines, the backend infrastructure at SquareX. And SquareX is primarily a browser extension-based solution.
Okay, that's very cool. What does it do exactly?
So we go ahead, make sure that the user is protected on the browser. We take a look at what's happening on the browser by monitoring various events, let's say user clicks, the files that are getting downloaded, the extensions that might be on the device, and in a way providing a holistic security on the browser. Yeah.
Okay. Now, you made a rather kind of bold statement at last year's Black Hat conference, and you were talking about this kind of last mile reassembly attack. First of all, what is that, and kind of what are the effects of it?
Yeah, so we were doing quite a lot of research, and that is in our DNA, right? So we go ahead, figure out how, again, various tech stacks are working to figure out if there is a potential loophole in the system which attackers are evading and how the attacks are happening on organization. So if you take a look again in the past, couple of years, the web attacks haven't been decreasing. They just keep on compounding over time. And we realize, again, one of this issue is because the web applications have gotten quite sophisticated. And the older, I'd say, the enterprise security solutions that we have, right? So primarily, there were two enterprise security solutions. One is EDR, second is SASE SSE. So EDR will go ahead, figure out anytime a malware touches the disk, it will immediately quarantine, block the malware. But this was amazing close to a decade back when the applications were getting attacked. Let's say it's an Office suite that would be there, Adobe Reader or something would be attacking on the native application. But now slowly what has happened is everything is happening on the web browser. Now you might not see a lot of malware download because attackers know that again, a EDR is running. The moment they go ahead, trigger a malware, it might catch it. So they do the malware based attacks, but still a lot of these attacks would just remain on the web because EDR is no position to detect what's happening on the web browser. But now what ends up happening is, again, apart from EDR, we have SASE SSE, which is in a way a proxy solution which figures out what's happening on the network level. So let's say again, a malicious file is getting downloaded. It will figure out that, oh, this file has this signature, and then it will block it on the network level itself. Now, similarly, let's say someone is uploading a sensitive document. Now, the SASE SSE solution will take a look at network, figure out, oh, this is something confidential, and it will block it. But what's happening is the web applications have become quite complicated. And the best example I can give you is of, let's say, WhatsApp web, Telegram, Slack, Teams. All of these solutions, most of them use like end-to-end encryption. So when you monitor the network, even if you're able to intercept the traffic, all you'll see is encrypted traffic. There is no way you can figure out what's the actual content flowing through. And this end to end happens from the user's browser or the user's device all the way to, the other party that is there on the other side of the tunnel. So we can't go ahead tell a lot of the story by just monitoring the network. Similarly, the SASE SSE solution are like stateless in nature. By this, I mean, let's say again, you download a malicious file. It's one single request that will go through. It will take a look at that request as a whole. Now, if you send multiple such requests, it wouldn't be able to do the correlation across them and figure out that, oh, this is potentially malicious. Similarly, they don't have context of what's happening on the browser. For example, again, whether it is one tab sending 5 requests or maybe 10 tabs sending, 5 or 10 requests or so. So our idea was that, again, if we, to explain in simple words, let's say again, we have one request. If we break it into 10 requests, rather than getting malicious file in one single one, we'll make 10 requests, simply fetch chunks of it, parts of it. And when the SASE SSE solution takes a look at all of these small parts, it will realize that, oh, in itself, it is not malicious. Because again, now the signature has been broken down into so many small parts. The individual parts are no longer a signature on its own. So all of these will get evaded by the, again, they won't be detected by the SASE SSE solution. And on the browser, what we can do is we can collect all of these small chunks and combine them together to finally drop the malware. So this way we are effectively evading the SASE SSE solution and the file just drops directly on the device. Similarly, we can use like protocols such as WebSocket, which are one of the least monitored protocols to deliver the file on the client side and then drop it as a regular file download.
Okay, wow. So it really is quite a stealthy attack then, because
Yeah.
obviously, products like Microsoft SASE solution, and I'm a trainer. I teach this kind of stuff. So, Microsoft 365 has safe links. It's got safe attachments. It's got conditional access. But of course, this is all network based. It is. It really is all network based kind of detection and prevention. And so this really does, it's quite a dangerous attack. Okay, I believe you've got a little demo to show us, yeah? Do you want to show us, first of all, what the last mile reassembly attack looks like, and then
Yeah.
how does SquareX kind of detect and potentially prevent it?
Yeah. In this demonstration, we'll take a look at how file download gets blocked by secure web gateway, considering again the file that's being downloaded is malicious. So in the first example, we are taking a look at when we don't have any secure web gateway. So if you open the network tab and click on the file download and click on the try the attack, we'll notice the file got downloaded and we can notice malicious one docm was downloaded. We'll upload this to VirusTotal and here we'll see that again, it was flagged by VirusTotal. Now, let's say we have a SASE SSE vendor enabled. So if we try to download the same file with them, again, we'll notice that it got blocked. So this is how again the standard SASE SSE solution will work. They will block all of the known malwares.
Sure.
Similarly, again, the same happens with file upload. Anytime, let's say you're uploading a malicious file or confidential file, it will get blocked by the SASE SSE. In this case, again, we can notice the file is malicious. So if you try to upload a file when the SASE SSE is enabled, in this case, again, we haven't enabled this, so it will go through, but now we'll enable it and we'll notice that the file will get blocked. Now, similarly, anytime we are visiting a malicious website without SASE SSE, again, some of these websites are accessible because it takes time for Chrome to pick them up and popular browser to block it by default. But with SASE SSE, again, the detection is much better for all of these malicious websites. So as you can notice, it's so access restricted. Now, what I'll do is I'll share one more video on how all of the SASE SSE solution can be evaded, which is basically with last mile reassembly attack. So in this case, all of the ones on the right are the attack with which we can evade SASE SSE. So in this demonstration, what we did was we used a web RTC channel, which isn't monitored by all of these proxy solution because it's based on UDP traffic, and UDP is much more difficult to monitor and block in this case. So it got completely evaded. And similarly, again, there are multiple channels, and we'll notice that it is a same malicious file. It has 41 out of 68 detection. Now we can repeat the same for WebSocket channel, and we'll notice the file again downloads to the WebSocket because WebSocket remains another unmonitored channel. And we can go ahead do the same with gRPC, which to our surprise was again unmonitored in this case, and none of the vendors were able to pick it up at this point in time. Now, file-based cloud messaging, this is quite interesting. So what we are leveraging is the notifications. So basically, the website can go ahead, show notifications to the user, and this is a common pop-up everyone would have seen. So what we are basically doing is anytime someone clicks on allow, now we are sending malware in small chunks to the user's browser using push notification service, which is an official service provided by which leverages Firebase behind the scenes. So it's called Firebase Cloud Messaging. So the moment we click on allow, now the message is coming through small chunks, and it will get delivered on the browser, and then it will trigger the file download. So the malware is being smuggled through all of these creative techniques and getting assembled on the browser. And that's how the last mile reassembly framework is working. Similarly, WebTorrent, it leverages WebRTC behind the scenes. So this will also, again, trigger the file download and will end up getting the file on the end device. So all of these techniques are like around unmonitored channel. And similarly, we can notice we have like file chunk attack. This is another unmonitored channel. What I'll do is I'll quickly provide you a brief overview of the file chunk attacks. In this case, what we do is we split the malware into 20 chunks, and then we are fetching it onto the device, and then we are concatenating it right there on the browser and dropping the file. Similarly, there are other variations where again, we split the file, but then we reverse the content of it. So all of these techniques are again completely bypassing SASE SSE, and in a way, the malware is getting delivered on the end device. So as per SASE SSE, no known malware can be smuggled through them. But with and this is mentioned in their SLA, that they will offer service credit for any malware that gets through their firewall and the proxy solution. But with our research, again, it demonstrated that every enterprise using SASE SSE is vulnerable to such an attack. Now, another interesting one is, just one second, let me go ahead, share the hiding in plain sight one. Now, what we do in this case is we are leveraging various other technologies, such as, again, WASM has picked up quite a lot, WebAssembly. So web pages use WebAssembly to do complex operations, such as, again, Adobe Photoshop, Canva, Figma, all of these big platforms use it to allow editing on the browser. And attackers can leverage the same because it's a new technology. There isn't a proper detection built to detect malicious nature of these files. So we can load a WASM module on the browser and embed something malicious inside it, and then that gets extracted on the browser, and ultimately it is dropped. Similarly, I'll forward this a bit. This is the image technography one. And this image, we have hidden the malware. And now on the browser, we are getting the malware out of the image and then dropping it. So all of these classical techniques are being used to go ahead, smuggle the malware. Similarly, you can also dump the malware in like maybe a text string or a encoded string and keep it part of the HTML and then drop it on the client side.
Super dangerous. Wow.
Yeah, so just one second. So these were like the classes of attack that can happen through SASE SSE. One is again client-side attacks such as clickjacking, extension-based attack. All of those can't be detected by SASE SSE. Then we have unmonitored channels, which is basically gRPC, WebRTC, WebSocket. All of these can't be, again, they are not monitored by secure web gateways or SASE SSE. Then we have all of the last mile attack, which is hiding in plain sight. Basically, within an image, we have malware, or within a WASM, we have malware. File chunking attacks, encryption attack. We simply encrypt the file with a password, and then on the browser, we decrypt the file and then drop the malware. So that way, again, we can go ahead and very easily smuggle a malware onto the client device. So there are like quite a lot of them. An interesting one is phishing attacks. So what we can do is we can leverage Canvas engine. So with Canvas, what ends up happening is now the components are no longer in form of a DOM, document object model. Rather, they are painted as a pixel on the user screen. So none of the detection technique that analyzes the DOM will be able to pick this up, because what they are seeing is just a simple div element, which is like sort of a canvas, and it does not contain anything. Everything is painted on the client side. So all of those are like another suite of phishing attacks that can happen through last mile reassembly.
I was going to mention that on Christmas Day, the cyberhaven Chrome extension attack was seemed to be make quite a lot of noise in the security industry. How did you spot it? And again, would SquareX be able to detect it and mitigate that?
That's a great question. So Cyberhaven, unfortunately, it was a sad incident. Anytime a security company gets hacked, a lot of data is at risk, and more importantly, the trust starts to break in the companies. So it's always a bit of sad news. Uh, Thankfully, the attack happened during the Christmas Eve. So in a way, again, the impact was not as high as it would have been if it was a regular working day, because all of the users of the platform mostly wouldn't be having the device active at the time, due to which the malware didn't propagate to a lot of device. But we don't know the full extent to how many users were impacted. But what had happened was, I'll quickly walk you through of how the campaign happened. Just one second. I have a video demonstration of the same. I think this was 20th December. So on 20th December, we received an email on our support email, support@sqrx.com. And this is like the mail to this goes to multiple people, including our CEO, Vivek, who's like amazing at security. So we immediately figured out that, oh, this is a phishing scam that is happening. And it's quite interesting to look at the email. So if we start from the title or the subject, here we can notice it says action required, and it says SquareX be secure, anonymous, private, online. So this is the name of our consumer version of the extension.
Mhm.
And it says that requires change to comply with Chrome Web Store policies, and the mail is coming from right Chrome for extension.com. So if it was actual Chrome Store, then definitely it will be a Google owned domain or so. And if you take a look at the content, it says relevant section of the program policy, we do not allow extension with misleading, poorly formatted, non-descriptive, irrelevant, excessive, or inappropriate metadata. So this was the point we realized that again, it's completely fake and definitely something is off. But the style of the mail looks very similar to how Chrome Store would be sending it. Because what ends up happening is anytime you publish your extension on Chrome Store, they'll send you an email confirming that again the extension was published. And the format, let's say the font, everything matches very perfectly onto what you receive from actual Chrome Store. Now, this is where it gets interesting. We have a button that says go to policy. So now if you click on this, in this case, I copied the link just to show what or where you're going. So this is the URL you'll be going to, app.checkpolicy.site, which is definitely not Google.
Mhm.
Now, the moment the page load, it takes you to a OAuth web page, which is basically again, now Google is trying to authorize you to give access to a third party application to something of yours that you're not fully aware of yet. Now it says that again, choose an account and choose an account to continue to privacy policy extension. So if you click on this, it will show the developer info as gpt.techpioneer@gmail.com.
Mhm.
So this is the email that is used to create a third-party application called privacy policy extension. And now in the next page, it is quite interesting. So the moment you click on this, it says when you allow this policy, privacy policy extension will be able to see, edit, update, or publish your Chrome Web Store extensions. So this application is trying to get access to manage the Chrome extension on your account. So this was like a clear red flag that again, this campaign is trying to steal the extension that you'll have. And that's exactly what happened with Cyberhaven. So I didn't click on continue at this point. But again, with SquareX, we had monitoring enabled. So this is the power of SquareX. With SquareX, we can fully monitor what's happening on the browser. We can figure out, again, what are the patterns happening in the organization, what should be disallowed, and what should be allowed. So if you click on this, it shows like the complete path of how it came to be. So we'll notice it says app.checkpolicy.site. And from this site, the user was redirected to accounts.google.com, from where they were prompted to perform an OAuth login. And if we hover over this, it will show that the OAuth login requested for a scope, which is again Chrome Web Store. And it is also available in the details section here. And this is the redirect URI where again the redirection will happen once you had confirmed for the authorization. And this is the scope, Chrome Web Store. Now with SquareX, again, it was very easy to block the attack, and that's what we demonstrate next. So we'll go back, and if you check on virus total, the website was not being flagged by any of the vendors. Even after the Cyberhaven hack happened, it took like a couple of days for the website to be flagged. That shows again the state of the industry. They are not good at detecting the new age attack vectors that are coming in. Now at SquareX, this is how easy it is to build a policy. We can very easily build policies across all properties of OAuth exchange, SAML exchanges, whatnot. In this case, we selected OAuth.redirect URI, but we can also try to client application IDs. So client ID could be there. Similarly, we can also define based on scope that if these applications are requesting for more than the scopes that's allowed, block it. All of those controls can be built. And now it's as easy as, again, once we enable the policy, the moment you go back and try to perform the same activity, it will immediately get blocked. And here we'll notice again, the block screen will come up because now you're trying to give authorization to an application that was not allowed within the organization.
I was just going to say, I mentioned the safe links feature in Microsoft 365. I mean, if it's not been flagged as a malicious site, that potential attack would then go through, right?
Yeah, correct. Correct.
Wow. Yeah.
And none of the vendors are equipped that well to handle this sort of attack because most of them are targeting, phishing pages that would be looking for credentials. But this is like OAuth scopes that are being looked up for. So this was the official Cyberhaven blog, and they
Mhm.
mentioned the initial attack vector is the same thing that we just saw. We do not allow extension with misleading, poorly formatted content. And this was the same application that ended up compromising them. So with SquareX, what we had focused on was a lot of these attack vectors that are happening on the web, but no one else is catching. So identity attack is one of them. So here we have like suite of various attacks that can be prevented by deploying SquareX. And our philosophy is not to deploy SquareX for blocking or allowing access, but rather for visibility. Just enable it, figure out what's the pattern within the organization to understand what should not be allowed within the organization, and then the blocking can come in, and that way we can protect the organization.
Sure.
And the whole SquareX product is built around browser security because it remains the least protected interface, but it is the browser is the most used interface.
Okay, Jeswin, that's Absolutely fascinating and quite frightening as well. So from a Microsoft 365 kind of admin perspective, how do I move forward with this? And I want to try it out and I want to have a look at it. How do we get set up?
So I think one of the reasons we chose the browser extension route was just this, the pain of deployment, management of updates, and so on. So the deployment is fairly straightforward. All we have to do is set up some of the registry entry via MDM. So this could be your group policy, SCCM, or a Microsoft Intune, through which we are introducing a few registry entries. And these registry entry will tell the browser from where to install the extension and to also enforce the extension such that it cannot be uninstalled. Now, once this registry entries are in place, now the browser is taking care of the rest. Anytime again SquareX releases an update, browser will automatically hit a URL from where it will fetch the newer version of the extension and it will automatically update it once again the browser is fully ready for it.
Okay, that's really interesting, Jeswin. For those folks who are kind of interested in kind of setting this up, what we can do is we can include a link to the documentation in the description below. How about that?
Yes, sounds good.
Yeah, cool. Okay, thanks very much. Obviously, nobody can talk about Microsoft 365 and the whole kind of cloud process without talking about AI and Copilot. How is AI changing kind of cybersecurity and kind of these types of attacks? And how are you kind of facing up to those challenges?
Yeah, I think with the advent of AI, right? So the attacks have become much more sophisticated, much more difficult to detect. Reason being, again, attackers are not that great when it comes to social engineering, right? But with the help of AI, we can customize the messaging, everything so well, and you can build out a malicious web page in like fraction of minutes. So one of the exercise we did while building last mile reassembly was to make sure that new people, just to prove to the industry that this is not a very new age attack that is coming in. This is a simple attacks that had existed for a while, but these are being highlighted right now. So we had a lot of interns go ahead, use chat gpt, claude to build out all of the attack techniques. So most of them are again built entirely by interns. That's how easy it is to set up all of these malicious website. Based on what we see, how do we figure out if things are malicious? That's where we are having our own AI models, AI engines trained to catch these, minor, I'd say, discrepancies on the web page. Take a look at all of the information that we can obtain of a website, and in a way have our own model to deduce whether it is phishing or not. So again, all of these things are like the new vectors that are coming in. So AI is something we have to be very careful about at this point in time. The attack vectors that are coming in, none of the vendors are very well equipped, and we ourselves are making sure that we are catching up to the attackers as fast as possible. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we're now in 2025. So what's next for SquareX then? Where do you take the product next?
Um, Quite a lot of things. Again, we are trying to leverage the AI to see what all attacks we can detect. And we are also the first to do analysis on the browser. So we run entirely on the client side. Now, our next plan is to package as many AI models as possible on the browser. Reason being, again, it becomes very affordable. At the same time, we can do things in much more privacy. We don't have to send the data to the cloud for further analysis. So that is something that will be coming in. Again, leveraging AI to the best we can. Secondly, we are also going ahead taking a look at the various other security solutions that are out there and what are the loopholes they have. So last mile reassembly was just one of those vectors. Now again, it's to figure out what are the other missing pieces in the whole enterprise security space and to fill that void in a way complementing the existing solution to make sure all the organizations are protected. So that's the vision of SquareX.
Okay, Jeswin, that sounds awesome. Do you have like a nice demo or a walkthrough of the portal and show us exactly what SquareX is and how it works?
So what we have done is we have built the most sophisticated policy engine. Unlike other platform where you can only apply policy on, let's say again, the website category or domain age, we have exposed all parameters of the browser, such as again from where the file is downloading, what is the IP address, what is the current identity of the user, and there are like over hundreds of parameters available for you to configure policy on. Now, if once we do this, the learning curve of the product will increase a bit. That's where we have supercharged our policy engine with AI. So you simply tell the AI what to do. It will automatically pick up the relevant property. So this is one such complex use case. And the moment you click on generate, it will take up to like 10 to 15 seconds. It will pick the appropriate policies, properties, and build the policy for you. Now, all you have to do is apply it to a member and then it's all done. For more advanced use cases, we can go ahead, build policy in Lua. So in a way, there's no limitation to the platform because let's say again, it's an internal platform which requires some additional properties, and now they'll have to come back to SquareX to expose those properties. So with our Lua policy engine, everything is configurable and you can literally script out anything you want. And that way, again, the platform is super easy. So we support a lot of these action from site visit, site content, user input, clipboard actions, file download, file upload, browser extension, identity attacks, whatnot. The browser extension can be deployed seamlessly within like a minute's time with the registry entries or the plist file for Mac devices. Now, this is SquareX in action. Now, this is a case where let's say you get a password protected zip file. Now you want to isolate this file. So how would you go about it? So this is an exercise on the same. So this is a tactic that attackers are leveraging quite a lot, that they'll send an email and this email will have an encrypted file and the password will be sent in the mail content. So that way, again, Gmails as well as popular email gateway does not flag the file as malicious because it's encrypted. And a lot of them don't go ahead and pick the password from the email to even decrypt the file. So as we can notice, the file got downloaded. And if you open the file and upload it to VirusTotal, you'll see the file is malicious. So it was 44, which is quite high.
Mhm.
Now, this is how easy it is to build policy with SquareX. We select the type of the action. In this case, we'll go to file download. And now we'll simply mention what we want to do. Isolate password protected zip file from mail.google.com. Click on generate. And now, if you scroll down, here we'll notice it says we selected the customer support group and automatically the properties were filled up. We click on create. Now the policy applies within seconds time. Now when we go back and if we download the file, now you can notice it is scanning the file and it says require password. So SquareX was able to detect that again, this is a password protected file. And again, it will require a password. And if you want to view the file, you can view it in the save file viewer, but there is no way you can download the file. It says download blocked. So if you click on open file viewer, it will open the file in SquareX's isolated environment, which we call disposable file viewer. And this is a full-blown desktop environment where you can open any file and view the content. So our philosophy from the start was that we don't do allow or block. We have an alternate option available, which is again isolate. Now, additionally, so this is where it gets quite interesting. If you have the password to the file, you can provide the password on the browser itself, and SquareX can scan the file after decryption. And this is all happening locally. We are not sending file to the cloud for analysis. We are leveraging WebAssembly to dissect the file right there on the browser, figure out that it's a zip file, then we'll go ahead, extract each files, and then further analyze it. And now we can notice the zip file had a malicious XLSM document. And if we click on it, it will show a complete analysis of why we considered it dangerous. So it was having a older macro present inside it, which is again no longer used in today's XLSM file. Now with SquareX, we can chalk the whole path of how the attack happened. So this is one of our superpowers that again, we can do the correlation on the browser and across multiple employees across the organization. So we can notice Phoebe was the user who sent an email to Evelyn, and Evelyn then went went to mail.google.com and ended up downloading the file. This is the copilot, so which is basically summarizing what had happened, so that this report, if needed, can be passed to the leadership, as well as it can also help with recommendation. What are the next steps you can take to prevent such an attack from happening?
Okay, Jeswin, that is absolutely fantastic. Quite scary on how kind of even modern security tools, cybersecurity tools, don't detect this stuff. But it's fantastic that SquareX obviously does, and thank goodness for that as well. I really appreciate you taking the time to join us. Absolutely fascinating conversation. If I want to know more, I'll just send them to squarex.com. Yes?
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds
Yeah.
great.
Fantastic. Hey, really appreciate it. And thanks so much. Okay.
Thank you so much, Andy. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Take care. Cheers. So there you have it. Once again, a big thank you to Jeswin Mathai, Chief Architect over there in Singapore at SquareX. What a fantastic product. Really interesting and really quite eye-opening and just a bit scary. Hey, listen, if you enjoyed this episode, give me a big thumbs up. And if you've got questions and comments, get those down below. And don't forget to subscribe. That's it for this time. Take care. Hey, thanks so much for dropping by today. Here's a couple of videos that you may enjoy. And while you're here, go ahead, click on the subscribe button and you won't miss out.